Maybe we'll go through Bible school, and we'll sometimes at the end of the Bible school, I seen a sign the other day that said there's no tired like Bible school tired. And that's true. We'll go through the end of this week, and by Friday night, we'll be wore out. But what if one comes? What if a seed is planted? You know, sometimes we plant seeds and we may not even get to see the harvest. Sometimes we plant seeds and we don't see the end result. I wonder how many pastors I was talking. I guess Rick Altizer. There's a church up on Jewel Ridge, and hard to tell. I would love to know some of these old mountain churches, some of these old coal camps. Never made a big splash in the water, but I'd love to know how many people give their heart in some of these old country churches, because some of these old country preachers were faithful to what God had called them to do. You know, I felt so impressed as we looked at that. At Mission Dignity, last year the GA's done something with it. And this year I wanted the whole church to be influenced by it. So on the counter this morning as you leave, there's going to be some of these pamphlets, and it gives you a way to give to Mission Dignity, and this money goes to a fund, the Mission Dignity Fund. This goes to retired pastors or pastors' wives. They can call in or write in and tell them, and they can sign up and get part of this. So it's just a way to help fund the labors of some of those men and women that truly sacrificed of what they give. But I want to end today's message with you. There's some questions in this verse that deal with us as Christians. He says, therefore, my beloved brethren. Now, he wasn't talking to just pastors here. He says, my beloved brethren. He's talking to each of us. He says, be ye steadfast. Are you steadfast this morning? You see, to be steadfast is to always be there. To be steadfast is to be grounded. To be steadfast is to be locked in, to be committed, to be dedicated. Doesn't matter what's going on, we're steadfast in our faith. We are steadfast in the labor for Christ. We're steadfast in laboring for what Jesus has called us to do. Whatever it is, whether it is pastoral ministry, whether it's deacon ministry, whether it's Sunday school ministry, whether it's ministry of greenery outside. I pulled in the church the other day, and I said, somebody has redone the mulch. Y'all think that's simple, or you say, well, whatever. Well, I went to Rick Horn. Me and him was talking about it, and I said, who done the mulch? And I'm going to be honest with you. It has bugged the fire out of me. True statement. I would pull in, or I would come in the church and the weeds are growing up, and it just aggravated me. And the Lord kept saying, just leave them alone. Now, this is true as I'm standing here. Just leave it alone. It's somebody's job. It's somebody's dedication. I come in the other day, and it was the first thing I noticed. I didn't notice and isn't it funny? I didn't notice the weeds were gone. I thought somebody added mulch to it. And I asked Rick Horn, he's over the property and space or building grounds or whatever he does. What do you do, Rick Horn? I said, somebody do that. That's what it's about, church. There's no big thing, there's no little thing. It's about laboring for the kingdom of God. Whatever God has called us to do, be steadfast in it, not wavering. Be unmovable in it. Plant your feet and say, Satan, I don't care what you bring against me. I don't care what this world brings against me. I don't care who laughs at me, who mocks me. I don't care. I am unmovable. I'm standing my ground. This is what God has called me to do. This is the plan that Jesus has for my life. And I'm planting my feet and I'm not moving. Be unmovable, church. When we look at this, Paul goes on. He says, always abounding in the work of the Lord, For as much as you know that your labor is not in vain in the Lord. Why did Paul say that? As much as you know your labor is not in vain, because there's days that you turn around and you say, Lord, why am I doing what I'm doing? Why did I go down there and do the mulch beds? Why did I go down there and give a week or my evenings this week to put up Bible school stuff? Lord, why? Paul says, let me tell you, it's not in vain. Whatever you do for God will never be in vain. On this side of eternity, you may never know the life that you touched. On this side of eternity, you may never understand why God has called you to do that. You may not understand why God has placed you at the front door of the church to shake somebody's hand that has had a horrible week. But that smiling face broke them because you could feel the pressure release from them. And they knew that they were at a place with people that loved them. Church, labor for the kingdom of God. He says the work is plenty, but the laborers are few. God has called you to labor for the purpose of the kingdom of God. You're here this morning, I want to share something with you. The greatest work that has ever been done is not the Eiffel Tower. The greatest work that has ever been done is not the Egyptian pyramids. The greatest work that has ever been done is not the Leaning Tower of Pisa. The greatest work that has ever been done is not the Statue of Liberty. But the greatest work that has ever been done, a temple was destroyed and raised again in 3 days. And it was the temple of Almighty Jesus Christ. He went to the cross at Calvary, and the greatest work that was ever accomplished was upon an old rugged cross. When Satan thought he had destroyed the plan of God, and in 3 days Jesus arose again, victorious over the grave, and had victory in God the Father. That same victory can be yours today. You see, it doesn't really matter what you do with your life. You can work a job, you can get the greatest education, you can have a Harvard degree, you can have the greatest of all things, you can make $1 million a year, and nothing's going to matter. All your work will be in vain. All your work, all that you will ever do is going to be in vain. Because when you look at this old world, my Bible tells me that one day this old world's going to be destroyed and everything's going to be burned up. It's all going to go on fire. So the houses that we build, the cars that we drive, I hate to tell you, but one day it's all going to burn. But what matters is the work that you've done and the rewards that you set aside and the treasures. He says, where your heart is, therefore will your treasure be, is your heart. If you put treasures up in heaven, the only way that you can do that is with a relationship with Jesus Christ. So it doesn't matter how much work you do on this side of eternity, it's all going to be in vain. But what's not going to be in vain? And Paul wanted you to know this. Paul wanted you to know this morning. He says, brothers and sisters, for as much as you know that your labor is not in vain in the Lord. The work that you do for God will never be in vain. God will bless it, He'll multiply it, and He'll increase it. But church, you've got to be steadfast, and you have to be unmovable. Stand with me as we go to the Lord in